Welcome back, everybody. This is Rodrigo Fonador with another episode of Asheville Real Estate News. And today we are really excited to have an awesome guest on the show, second time around, and we're going to be talking about syndication and also introducing his new book that was just released, a great book. If you're looking for a book to kind of get a very good overview of real estate, to kind of try to give you an idea of how and where to start and what part of real estate might be a good fit, I encourage you all to check it out. So we're going to dive into these things, and also as a primer, we are going to have the opportunity to find out when we can have these conversations live. Our guest is going to be doing a workshop through CREA here in the Asheville area. The 24th, I believe, is the date. That's a Saturday. So we're going to get into all that. So be excited about this. Before we jump into the show, as always, big thanks to American IRA, who's your local IRA custodian here in the Asheville area, who sponsors this show and all of our shows here. But without further ado, help me welcome Bryce Robertson to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a good pleasure to chat with you. You know so much and have had a great experience, not just in real estate, but I love all your adventure stories.
Thanks.
I know when I read the book, one of the things that you did the shark diving or cage diving with the sharks.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been kind of wanted to do that, but been always a little don't know if I'd have the guts to actually go in. How was that?
It was pretty fun. You know, if it's one of those things you kind of get what you pay for.
Okay.
And there was 3 different payment tiers that we could have for the experience. And we got the middle one.
Okay.
So we thought, okay, that's cool. And we're glad we didn't get the cheap one, because we looked at the equipment that they had, and the boat that they had was actually smaller than the great white sharks. It was crazy. And then the ones that was more expensive had a massive boat. So we were kind of somewhere in the middle. But great experience. And the interesting thing about it is that when we weren't allowed to actually get in the tank until the sharks were literally swimming around the boat. And then once the sharks are swimming around the boat, then we had to actually get in the tank. So, definitely didn't want to slip.
Wow, yeah. So if you did again, would you go with the top tier, or do you feel good, 2020 hindsight vision in the middle tier?
Yeah, I'd probably go the top tier. Yeah, why not? But I mean, the middle one was good, but why not live it up?
So when you jump into the cage from the boat and you just kind of just go.
Yeah, they throw out what they call chum, which is all the blood and guts of a fish, and then you jump from the boat into the cage, and then you go inside the cage, and then underwater. So.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So one of the things that I loved talking the last time you were on the podcast was the concept of just financial freedom and being able to kind of live the life under your terms and kind of go and dictate how things happen. And for those who didn't listen to that first podcast, can you mind just giving us how you got to this point and what you did beforehand?
Yeah, sure. So, now I'm full-time in real estate, but it wasn't always like that. In the beginning, I worked as a blue-collar worker, welder in Australia. I worked in the gold mines and construction projects. And then I ended up saving up enough money in my early 20s, and I just left Australia. And I planned to travel the world for 6 years. But I had to work along the way, and this is how I did it. So I started off, I based myself in London, and I would work for a few months, save up a bunch of cash, and then I would take off to Europe. And I'd go travel there and have some fun until my money ran out, and then I'd come back to London, and I'd do it again, and I'd work. Maybe I was working 10 hours a day, sometimes 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I'd work for a few months, saved up more money, I'd go to Africa. And I did this all over the world, and ended up doing it for 6 years. And at the end of that 6 years, I met my wife in the Caribbean. And she happens to be a native Californian, so we moved to California, and that's when my American adventure began. But when we came to America, we made a commitment with ourselves that we would recreate that freedom lifestyle, except this time we do it without our money running out, and not only that, our money growing at the same time. And that's what began our path in real estate. Fast forward from there, I mean, the first, I bought my first mobile home park, actually, and I had a net worth of negative $50,000. I had $2,000 in the bank, and I had unseasoned credit because I just hadn't been here that long. And through the power of syndication and with a lot of drive and motivation, I ended up getting that deal across the finish line. And I geometrically expanded and grown my business since then. It took 2.5 years for us to become financially free and retire ourselves from our earlier careers. That's my wife and I, and geometrically grown since then.
Yeah, it's really crazy to think like 2.5 years, how much can change. And obviously you guys made leaps and bounds in that point. And not only was it just change, it was sustainable change. I'm assuming everything's improved since then as well, based on the power of real estate and syndication. So before we keep going, we used the word syndication a couple of times today. Let's just, if you don't mind, just define it,
Sure.
Make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, syndication basically benefits a few people. Okay, so syndication happens where someone finds a deal, and it's usually a large deal, commercial real estate usually, and that person who finds the deal then can open up a portion of the deal to investors. So investors can get involved in a deal that they wouldn't have otherwise had the resources, the time, or the access to get involved in that deal. And it also allows the person who found the deal, or we'll call it an operator, it allows the operator to scale their business and do more deals. So it's basically accumulating investors who are limited partners, and then the operator who's actively investing in the deal together into a deal, and so that we can do deals together. And everybody wins. Everybody makes money, and it's a win-win situation.
And how long have you been syndicating for now?
I've been syndicating since 2015.
Okay. So one of the things that I was really wanting to have a lot of questions about this, because just recently, Nolan and I were talking, and it was talking about syndication. So I want to go back to that starting point, because I know one of the things I've always struggled with, and I think it's probably a common objection or mental hurdle to overcome, is, well, how do I even start that process? Like, I'm probably not in a position to do so. But, I mean, you've got a pretty good story for that. But I want to come back to that. So I want to focus on your book, because one thing I found really interesting when I was reading the book is, I think there's 2, maybe 3 of you all, of the Aussie mates, who referenced Rich Dad, Poor Dad as one of the, I don't know, I guess tipping points to get started in real estate. And it was just like, again, power of reading. So what's the story of the book? How did it come together? Why'd you do it? And what do you think now that it's all done?
Oh, okay, great. So, I mean, really the way this whole group came together, the book is co-authored. There's 8 of us. We're called the Real Estate Mates. We actually started off with more comical names, but we sort of toned it down a little bit. That's just our Aussie humor. But, you know, we met networking. We didn't know each other in Australia, but we're all Australians that came from Australia over to America and achieved financial freedom through US real estate investing. And we met over here in the real estate networking world, and, you know, really hit it off. And it just started off, actually, Reed Goosens, one of the authors, he's the guy who brought the group together. He sort of introduced us all, and then once we got together, it was just, hey, bunch of Aussie guys all doing real estate together, let's just connect and see what happens. And we really started jiving. We really liked hanging out with each other. We started doing deals together. We started having monthly calls, and it was really a mastermind group in the beginning. And then we started meeting up in locations. We met up in San Diego. We met up down in San Antonio. And when we met up down in San Antonio, it was just like, all right, guys, we are just so blown away with the opportunity that exists to invest in U.S. real estate that, you know, doesn't exist in so many other countries and other areas. I mean, I've been to 60 countries, 60 plus countries. I've had businesses in 5 different countries, and I know that the barrier entries are much higher in other countries. In America, it's such a land of opportunities, and we're all really, really excited about that. So we just wanted to get together. We're excited about it. We want to share that with other people, because what we've found is, yes, this is a land of opportunities, and we just don't see as many people taking advantage of that as what they could. So we want to sort of wake people up and inspire people to come take action. And I think the whole sort of point of the book is if a bunch of sort of yobbo Australian guys can come 10,000 miles over to America and make this happen, then, you know, people here can easily achieve it. So if we can do it, you know, anyone can.
Yeah, it's a message that resonated with me very deeply because, well, I'm from Colombia. And as you said, the barrier to entry there is like ridiculously high. Very mundane tasks are extremely challenging to accomplish sometimes. And here everything's like, no, please go do things. Please go do things. And it's just, it's incredible what can happen. When did the idea of the book like actually come together? How does this happen where you're like 8 people to come together and say, hey, let's write a book?
I think it's the power of manifestation. We sort of explored it as a possibility when we were on the mastermind calls and everything.
Right.
But when we were in San Antonio, it was just game on. We're like, hey, boys, we are doing a book. We know we got it. And then, I think we actually literally started the process a few months later. Really got it locked in. So it all just came together. 8 people, a lot of momentum. Everyone was driven. And, we had really good support with our publishing team and our editing team. And it was just, really happy with the end product.
Yeah, it's super exciting because it's been, for sale now, or it's officially launched about a month now, is it, or so?
Yeah, it came out on July 4th, and that was no mistake. Yeah, we wanted it to be a monumental day that we brought it out on and celebrate the awesomeness of America. So it came out on July 4th.
When you all first started talking, I don't want to take too much time on this, but just would love to focus a little bit on the network that you guys built, the mastermind component. And I guess my question is the some of the success that you have had and that the other people in your real estate mates group have had. How much of that would have happened without the group if it was kind of just not? Maybe in different groups, sure, but if they weren't part of any group, would you still have had that same growth trajectory, that same growth path?
No, not at all. That's a great question. No, investing is a team sport. We actually talk about that in the book. John Carney talks about that. The power of momentum that we can achieve when we put that many minds together. Napoleon Hill talks about it in his book. Yeah. And it's just, the power of momentum that we build in our group is phenomenal. And it could be in any group for that matter. We all have our own, in this group, we have our own specialties in real estate. We have our own asset classes that we specialize in. And, we pull ideas from each other. And, we were talking about things on the mastermind calls, something had come up. And the answers to questions that were coming up from 8 different minds is just phenomenal. Things that you would never be able to sit down and think of yourself. And then that opens up my network to everybody else, and everybody else's network to me. Just geographically expands all of the resources that we have, or the momentum that we have, and the horsepower. So yeah.
What do you think? And you listed a lot of really big things as being part of a group like that. Would you be able to narrow it down to like one most, maybe not necessarily thing about the group, but maybe at one moment in your career where you can be like, wow, like I was able to get out of a sticky situation or make a big decision with confidence because of the group, something of that nature where you can look back and be like, yeah, that group, like very tangible difference.
Geez, I don't even know if one particular thing I could put it down to, because there's been so many things that have changed in our lives because of the group. Yeah. It's, we're doing deals together. We're meeting new people together. We've got each other's back. And
so the tangible is limitless then.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So, you're going to be here, right, with it's Reed, right, who's come to present with you. Yes. So talk a little bit about how you specifically met with Reed. What's your all's history before meeting with everybody else? Because my understanding is, you said, right, he brought you all together.
Yes.
So how did you meet Reed?
Just got a phone call. So, networking in Southern California, I was out there a lot. I was networking a couple of nights a week for years on end, everywhere from San Diego to LA to Orange County and Riverside. And the word gets out pretty quick. There's not many Aussies out there in the real estate game. And I was out there, and then Reed was doing the same thing. It wasn't going to be too long until we met up. So one of the guys I met says, I know an Aussie guy. And then Reed gave me a call, and next thing you know, we really hit it off. And but the interesting thing is as time progressed, when I would go out networking, people would say, oh, I know of another Aussie guy. And I go, oh, that's cool. And then I'd go, oh, who is it? And then they'd say, Reed. And then it got to a point even later on that I would meet somebody and I know an Aussie guy, and I'll go, is it Reed? And they go, yes, it is. So I think we were out there definitely putting our name out there.
And so you've been teaching for a while, right?
Yes.
And when did you start making that shift from being an operator to also education? Because I've gone to some of your classes, read your book, read your mobile home park course that you put out. I like the way you communicate. How did that process evolve?
To me, it was a clear transition because I've found that the thing that has made a really big difference for my success is the knowledge that I've gained, the mentoring that I've had. And there's only been a few people that I've come across that have actually really given valuable information and good mentoring. And now the way that my life has changed because of real estate is just absolutely phenomenal. I live a complete freedom lifestyle. I mean, you and I were talking about this earlier. I've been to 20 countries already so far this year. I mean, I truly live a freedom lifestyle because of real estate. And I think I would be doing a disservice if I wasn't sharing that with people. So I feel like it's actually my duty to share real estate knowledge and wealth knowledge and freedom knowledge with people so that more people can come join. Because I tell you what, I was in a career that I didn't appreciate. I didn't want to be in for about 17 to 20 years. And I didn't know about any of this. It wasn't until I made a conscious choice to go searching for it that I found it. So I would like to intercept people before they'd even got to that point. And, we're out there, the real estate mates, we're keen to educate people and we want people to be able to live a freedom lifestyle. Real estate's our catalyst, but at the end of the day, it's all about freedom and the freedom of choice we have. And I'm truly passionate about teaching. You've been to my events, and that's something that, definitely going to be continuing doing.
Did you find that there's a learning curve when you started teaching, or was it a pretty easy thing for you to fall into? Like, there's some people who are just natural teachers. I'm just wondering if you would put yourself in that category because you're good. So
don't know if I was natural. Maybe. I mean, I definitely had to push myself. Right. But I think that because I'm passionate about it, because I want to do it, it just flows. I suppose the biggest growth thing for me has been, especially in the beginning, just all the questions. It's like, wow, wasn't expecting that one. And it's great because it allows me to understand what people are thinking. And maybe I didn't know the answer to some things and I can go out and research it. You've been to my events. It's fully open Q&A the whole time. It's just people go crazy asking questions, and I love it. It's great. So I think it's really allowed me to even grow even more and become better. When you're teaching something, it just ingrains on a deeper level. So I think it helps me become a better investor as well.
No, that makes sense to say was the best. You don't really truly know something until you can teach it. Some saying like that. So that makes sense. So talking about teaching, you and Reed are going to be talking here at the Korea events coming up later this month.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be roughly, give or take, a week from whenever this comes out, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
It's the 20th and the 24th, right?
Yeah, the 20th, and then we're doing an evening on the 20th, and we're doing a full day on the 24th.
And what are you all going to be chatting about?
Well, we're talking about the power of syndication. To put that in layman terms, we're talking about raising capital for real estate deals. Often we come across people that they just need an extra $10,000 or tens of thousands of dollars for a real estate deal to get it done. And if they don't find that money, then they can't get the deal done. Or maybe some people have bigger deals and they're looking for hundreds of thousands or millions. We've done that. That's what we do. The power of syndication has helped us grow our businesses, and we want to pass that knowledge on to people. Real estate investing really is a team sport, and there's not many investors that I know that haven't needed to use at some point other people's capital or other people's money in their deals, and we teach people how to do it. There's actually a whole science behind how we do it. There's a legal side behind how you can do it properly and how you can't do it. And so we're here to teach you how to do it properly, to avoid the pitfalls and to maximize your profits. And when you come to our one-day event on the 24th, we actually, attendees will literally leave with their own capital raising business plan to suit their needs.
Well, that's good because I'm planning to be there and excited about this because wondering, going full circle on this, like how did you get to a point where you're putting together this big mobile home park deal, your first syndication deal, in a situation where I guess the story I'd be telling myself mentally is like, well, who am I to go ask for millions of dollars to put something together when I don't have millions of dollars or I don't have the track record? I'm really curious to know if you could just talk about what was going on inside your head, if you can go back X amount of years and remember like what you told yourself. How did you overcome like the internal thought process?
So there's a few things there.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to say to that is that coming from that perspective of, how do I deserve to get $1 million for the deal would be me coming from my perspective, not fully understanding the value I'm providing. I fully understand and I know that the deals that I put under contract, the deals that I work with, are highly valuable.
Yeah.
So I know that there's people out there that want the kinds of returns that I can provide. So, I think the first thing is coming from a perspective of knowing, hey, you've got something valuable. People out there really want a place to put their money where they can make good returns. And that means, somewhere where they can invest in a deal with a good operator and, good deals. But, that's really valuable because those people, maybe they don't have the time, the resources, the whatever, you know? So...
Was that easy for you to get to that point and to really believe in the value you're bringing to the table? Like, I'm hearing you say it now, and it's like, yeah, that makes total sense, but...
I mean, there was definitely digging deep. I think probably one of the things that really tipped me over the edge into being much more confident and much more driven was at the time, and this is kind of embarrassing to actually say this, but I'd paid for a real estate education and mentoring program, paid about like $30,000 for it actually. Yeah. And then I got my mobile home park under contract and I wanted to call my mentor. And so I called my mentor and my mentor didn't answer. And so I kept calling my mentor, no answer. So then I had to go to the education company around the back door until they got him to call me. And then he called me and he said, tell me about the deal. And I told him about the deal. And he said, you're dreaming, kiddo. If those are your circumstances and you don't have the money, you're dreaming, kiddo. You're never going to get this job done. Why don't you just come back to the group and you can start on some smaller deals. So I pretty much hung up on him and there was no way I was ever going to deal with that guy again. And that really gave me a whole bunch of motivation. I mean, some people might be able to resonate with this. When someone tells you, you can't do this, I don't know. Some people might crumble, not me though. Yeah. That was a lot of motivation. So I was really driven and, getting involved in good deals, excited to do that deal myself and excited for my investors to be able to benefit as well. So there was nothing stopping me.
Do you remember what it was like when you got your first yes on that deal?
Yeah.
Were you expecting it, or was that one of those things where I was like, I can't believe you just said yes to me?
Don't know if I really allowed the room for negativity or doubt in there because I just didn't want to allow that to take me out. It may have been floating in the background there, but I was really focused on getting the deal done. But when someone did say yes, I was like, oh, yes, awesome. How awesome is this? And then, closing on that first deal was probably one of the highlights of my real estate investing career because, to get that done in the beginning, it was a big achievement. It's much easier now.
Yeah, no, you've got, once you get the track record and everything, it makes things flow a lot better. What, so when we're talking about syndication, that's what you guys are going to come and talk about. What are, who's this conference for, or who's this workshop for? Like, who should come? Or who shouldn't, maybe? Maybe who is it not for, too?
Who should come? I mean, the people that should come to this event are anybody who wants to learn how to raise money for real estate deals, right? And that's one type of person that's for. Yeah. Also, there's people who want to invest in real estate deals as a passive investor. You should come along. And you should learn what to look for in an operator or someone who is proposing a deal to you. So anybody who wants to invest in a deal, who wants to invest money in a deal, who wants to learn how investment structures should work for a deal that you're going to syndicate, or for people who need a little bit of money. I mean, look, here's the thing. A lot of us are trying to grow our real estate businesses. A lot of us are trying to get deals done. Some in the beginning, some all the way throughout their career.
Mm-hmm.
Most real estate investors that achieve lots of success use the power of syndication to help people make profits along the way and help them geometrically grow their business. So I don't know anybody who's had sustainable success in real estate for years that hasn't at some point needed to know how to bring capital into the deal. And that's what we're here to teach.
And I'm guessing that if you've never done a deal, you would still say, hey, this is arguably a better place to start than anywhere else?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're going to learn how to show up. You're going to learn how to network. You're going to learn how to build a network and get yourself out there. You're going to learn how to present yourself. You're going to learn the rules of what you can and can't say. And it's a great opportunity. I mean, networking alone is a really powerful tool for real estate. We don't get deals done by ourselves. Everybody that's involved in the deal, it takes other people, and we need to get out there and we need to know these people, contractors, legal people, CPAs, all of that. So just to learn how to network, and we're going to be really digging into that and having bonus networking sessions as well. We're having breakout sessions where we're not just going to be sitting there giving a lecture. It's going to be integrated. Everybody's going to be in there physically working and doing exercises and then walking away with their own customized business plan.
I must say, I went to your mobile home park boot camp, and that was one of the best courses, weekend seminars I've ever been to.
Thank you.
By far exceeded all expectations.
Thank you.
And Bryce plays the didgeridoo, which is I can't imagine you go to many other conferences where they do that.
There you go. If you want to come along and hear the didgeridoo, we can do that one too.
Talking about the networking, what is it? Okay, so somebody's coming to this event and they're like, hey, I'm a little bit on the shy side. What do you encourage people who aren't comfortable with networking? What are one or two easy pieces of advices that they can say, okay, I'm going to register this, I'm going to do this?
I think the key thing about someone who's nervous and maybe doesn't know what to say or anything is that they don't understand that they have value to bring to the table. If you're new and you've never done a deal before, and I come across this all the time, and they a new person comes to a real estate meeting for the first time. Oh, I'm just a newbie. Oh, don't worry about me. I'm just going to be a fly on the wall because I've got no value to provide to you. But that's not the case, because look, there's a few different things in the room at a real estate networking event, or when you're out there. There's people who have money, right? And maybe they don't have time or experience.
Right.
And there's people who have experience, but maybe they don't have time or money.
Right.
Time or money. And then there's people, and this is where the newbies usually fall in, is they may not be experienced, they may not have a ton of money, but they've got time and they've got contacts and they can help get a deal put together. So my one key piece of advice for someone that's nervous and starting out is you do have value. Absolutely, you have value, and you should know that. And we're going to reinforce that, and we're going to build that up and let you understand it, and you're going to resonate on that at the course.
When you've been doing these syndications, has there been anything that's been something that you've learned, or an aha moment that you've learned maybe kind of more recently that was something you wouldn't have ever anticipated thinking about or running across? Where you're like, oh, this makes sense that I know this now, but I would have never anticipated being aware of this or learning this, when I first got started.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I learn a lot of things along the way. A lot of it isn't even directly real estate related. I think there's a lot of self-development behind all of this, because the person you need to be to grow as a business owner or real estate investor just means that you need to grow in communication and how you show up in relationships and things like that. But I think the biggest thing that has surprised me is if I go back to when I started my journey and I look at where I am now, it's I have to pinch myself every day, because I love my life. It's absolutely amazing what real estate and the power of syndication has done for my life, and it's just I surprise myself frequently with the amazing things that I get to do and the amazing experiences I get to have and people I get to be around, and it's just the greatest. So.
No, yeah, that's awesome. It's it's always inspiring to kind of see people who are out there crushing it at a higher level and be like, okay, see what we can aspire to over here. So it's always been fun to hear and see your stories and kind of see what's going on. So thank you for that and for sharing, because it's exciting on my end personally. Do you have any kind of parting thoughts or anything you want to leave people with that maybe that we didn't touch about the book, maybe that, or maybe about syndication, that question I should have asked that I didn't?
I actually think that the key thing that I'd like to leave people with is there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of information. We have a lot of ideas. And if you don't take action on an idea or a concept with at least the first step within 24 hours, then you can might as well just put it aside, and it's going to dramatically decrease and fade away. So if you guys want to learn how to be successful in real estate, come buy our book. You can buy it on Amazon, 10,000 Miles to the American Dream. You can get it on Amazon. Do it now. Do it today. Don't do it tomorrow. Do it now. If you want to come and learn how to be a better syndicator, how to network in real estate, how to grow your business, come to our event. And the same thing goes for anything that you want to do. If you want to do it, take action on it on the first step within 24 hours. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And so, procrastination doesn't give you freedom. Taking action does.
Don't think there's any better way to end something with that call of action. So, guys, hope to see you all at the event. It's the evening session is the 20th. The full day Saturday event is the 24th. Oh, we forgot to mention, how do people find out about this if they aren't part of Korea? Like
There you go. Come to propertyworksusa.com. And you can look on the live events page there, or live workshops page, and you'll be able to find out what's going on there. That's Property Works USA, and Works ends with a Z, so it's WORKZ, propertyworksusa.com. We're at the Hilton Hotel on the Saturday for the full day event on the 24th, and we're at Highland Brewing Company on the 20th for the evening event.
And if somebody is not here in the Asheville area, is listening to this, how do they get a hold of you if they want to just stay in touch with what you're doing, or maybe they want to work with you and whatnot?
Absolutely. You can email me, Bryce at propertyworksusa.com. You can also reach me through my website at propertyworksusa.com.
I don't know if it's on the camera, but it's right there, right? Propertyworks.com. So, all right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week, another Tuesday. As always, y'all, if you enjoyed this episode, I'm sure you did, please leave us a rating, drop us a review on iTunes or wherever else you're listening to this. Take care. See you next week.